So I just want to go over a few things that I kind of caught this week watching people work. Just mostly reminders and a couple of minor things that may have been kind of glossed over, but we'll look at specifically just to be sure that everybody understands them. Um, Number one, I noticed a lot of people still having trouble logging into SQL Server Management Studio. When you get to Blackboard, go to Content Categories. Under SQL Installation Setup Instructions, there is logging into the server from inside the college. And right here you can find the IP address you need to use. And you'll just have to remember that either your password is your student number or it's whatever you changed it to in the class. It doesn't sync up directly with your Blackboard password unless you intentionally made it do that. Alright, next let's have a quick look at how we would be creating tables. So this is once again our design chart or table design chart for the game table. You'll notice that we kind of just put in field names. We used our camel case, we indicated the game name, and then the next step was to choose all of our fields. I said early on in our course that all of our ID fields would always be identity fields and therefore must be integer fields and would also be the primary key. So this is just a pattern that you're going to see whenever creating an identity field, and you've got to make sure that all these indicators are there in our table design. At some point toward the end of the course, we'll discuss using alternative primary keys a little bit. We may not use them ourselves, we'll find out about that, but for now, whenever you have a primary key, just assume it's the ID field and it's an integer that's an identity specification. After that, you have to start choosing your variable types again. Go to our content categories, and under notes and references, I've given you a data types reference sheet. You can also find these same data types on the Microsoft site. You can see there's three categories of data types that you've been provided with. There's string data types, date data types, and number data types. And if you took the time to read it, you might have noticed that within dates, there are data types to handle dates and data types to handle times and data types to handle both. So it's called date types, that's the heading. But when you get down to it, if you're dealing with times, you may want to use this kind of date section as well. For the number types, if you had a look, you would have noticed that there were whole number data types from tiny int to big int. And you can see the ranges that they would capture. So you're going to make sure that you choose a data type that captures an appropriate range of numbers. And then you have the two fractional data types or precision data types where we can get numbers that are fractional. We talked about how decimal is accurate to the number of decimal places that we have provided for money values, and where float has the chance for a rounding error. So you have to choose between those when you have fractional numbers and you're good to go. For string types, we have fixed length character fields. The char field, it's rarely useful, but when it is, it's the most useful. It's when you know exactly how many characters are going to come out within your field, like a social insurance number, health card number, license number, to a degree, license plate numbers, anything that's serializable and you know exactly how many characters are going to be in that field every single time, you can use this. Otherwise, just use a variable length character field. And that's the last time I'm going to talk about data types. I hope you remember it from this point forward.